Hello everyone, this is Amisha Patel. Let me start my project presentation by defining the problem statement. So, the file bank.csv contains data on 5,000 customers. The data include customer information and the customer's relationship with the bank and the customer's response to the last personal loan campaign. Among these 5,000 customers, only 480, that is 9.6%, accepted the personal loan that was offered to them in the earlier campaign. So the objective of my project is to do data analysis to identify the potential customer who have a higher probability of purchasing the loan. I'll also perform machine learning algorithms like logistic regression, random forest, and differentiate between the models and analyze their performances. So let me take you through my dataset. This dataset I have got from the website Kaggle. Here we have different variables like ID, age, experience, income, zip code, family, credit card average, education, mortgage, personal loans, securities, customer deposit account, online, and credit card. We'll start by importing all the necessary datasets and libraries. First of all, we'll import NumPy. It is used for mathematical calculation. Pandas for data visualization. Pandas for data analysis. Seaborn for data visualization. Matplot library for plotting different graphs. We have also imported series and data frame. We'll read our dataset file, and for printing the first 5 and last 5 elements from our dataset, we have used dt.head and dt.tail respectively, and this is the output that we have got. Then we'll check the types of data and its basic summary. So here I have used dt.info. It will give us the information of all the variables from our dataset, and here we can observe that there are no missing values. Then we'll describe our data set. This is the output that we've got, and here we can observe that the column experience has some negative value. Then we'll drop all the irrelevant columns. So if needed, we'll clean the data for any of the variables. So I have used dt is null.sum. It returns the number of missing values, and from the output we've got, we can observe that there are no missing values. Further, we'll drop the columns ID and experience as they aren't necessary for calculating or predicting the personal loans. Then again, we'll view the first 10 elements from our dataset using head. Then I have used EDA. EDA is exploratory data analysis. It involves looking at and describing the dataset from different angles and then summarizing it. But why are we doing all of this? Why can't we do directly modeling the data instead of knowing all of this? Well, in some cases, we can easily come to conclusion if we just do the EDM. Then it's not even necessary to go through the next module. This data preprocessing step is an essential one before statistical modeling or machine learning engines to ensure the correctness and effectiveness of the data used. We'll check for the duplicate row data. Here I have used this function, and this is the output that we've got. The number of duplicate rows or empty data frame are, these are the column, and yeah. Next we have used dt drop NA. It is used to remove rows and columns with null values. So by default this function returns a new data frame and the source data frame remains unchanged. Then I have used dt.n unique. It returns the number of unique elements in the object, and it will also give us count of all the unique values in the index. So here we can observe that these are the unique values in each column. Like for age we have 45, for income we have 162, and so on. We'll also drop the column zip code because it isn't necessary for our project. Then we'll have the basic summary of each column. So for dt equals to 0, we'll get the sum of the total mortgage value. So this is the output, that is 3,462. Similarly for family, we have the count. Here 1, 2, 3, 4 represents the number of members each family contains. We have count for the education value. Again, here 1, 2, 3 represents the level of education a person has. Like for 1, it is undergraduate, for 2, it is graduate, and for 3, it is master's degree or any type of higher education. Then we have value counts for securities account. So the number of people who don't own a securities account is 4,478, while those who have a securities account is 522 respectively. Similarly, we have value counts for credit customer deposit account, and here we can see the number of people who don't have a customer deposit amount is very much, and the number of people who have customers account is 302. Then we have done uh, unvariate analysis. So as the name suggests, univariate, that is the simplest form of analyzing techniques, and it our data has only one variable, so it doesn't deal with causes or relations, and its main purpose is to describe. Here I have used a disk plot for age, and disk plot basically depicts the variation in data distribution. So this is disk plot for age, and this is the density. Similarly, we have disk plots for income, for credit card average, and for mortgage. So from here we can observe that all these disk plots like mortgage, CC average, and income are highly skewed, while the disk plot for age is not that much skewed. That is, it's yeah. Then we have bivariate analysis. So again, as the name suggests, it is conducted to determine whether a statistical association exists between two variables. So here we have count plot for family. Here 1, 2, 3, 4 depicts the number of members in each family. Similarly, we have count plot for education, where 1, 2, 3 depicts the level of education. Then we have box plot for income. So here, this line over here depicts the minimum value, while this line over here depicts the maximum value. And let's divide this box into 3 points, that is Q1, Q2, and Q3. So Q1 depicts that around 25% people have an income in this range, while Q2 over here depicts that around 50% of the people have an income in this range, while Q3 over here depicts that around 75% of people have an income in this range, that is from 0 to 100, and rest of them have an income till this range. Similarly, we have box plot for mortgage and box plot for CC average. Now this is another type of box plot where we have income and education, and this blue and yellow colors over here depicts the personal loan relation with income and education. So blue blue box over here depicts that these are the people who haven't taken a personal loan. From here, we can observe that people whose income range is below 150, and again, income ranges is per 1000 USD. So the people having income range between below 150 haven't taken the personal loan despite their education level. I have also used count plot. So here we can see that uh, for securities account, people who don't have securities account, these many number of people haven't have taken the personal loan, while people who have securities account, these many people, to this ratio, only these much people have taken the personal loan. Then we have heat map. So we have plotted heat map using the matplot library. And here we have used dt.corr. So it is used to find the pairwise correlation of all columns in the data frame. This heat map gives correlation that is ranges from -1 to 1, where uh, where the values that are closer to 0 means that there is no linear trend between the two variables, whereas the ones that are close to 1 indicates that the correlation is more, that is, it's stronger. So we have all our variables over here and all our variables over here, and from this we can observe that the income and credit card average has some correlation with personal loan, because these values have greater values and are more likely towards 1. Then we have subplots for age and income. This is against age and income. So here we can see that number of people having income between 0 to 150 are more despite the age. We also have another bar plot for age and number of credit cards. So here we can observe that elder people have more number of credit cards. Another type of comparison that we have done over here is pair plot. So here we are comparing all the elements against each other. So here if we zoom in, we can see that all the variables are compared with each other. Here we have credit card, online CD account, and similarly here we have different variables, and all of them are compared with each other using the graphs. Then I have also used pie diagram, that is pie chart, for depicting the personal loan percentage according to the last campaign that is given in our data set. So from the information that we have, we know that around 9.6% people had taken the personal loan in the previous campaign. So it is depicted with this pie chart. Now before moving into the actual modeling process, we'll split the data into training and testing. So here we have x and y as input and output variables. In x we have given the variables as age, income, CC average, education, mortgage, and securities account, and in y we have personal loan values. Now we'll import min-max scaler from sklearn.preprocessing, and in columns to scale we have age, income, family, CC average, education, and mortgage, same as the above. For columns to scale, we have given scalar as min-max scalar. Now min-max scalar, it preserves the shape of original distribution, and in dt.column scalar.fit transform equals into dt column dot values dot reshape -1 to 1. So what this means is that scalar dot fit transform, it is used to summarize the transform data in the range of -1 to 1. So this is what it's happening over here. All the input data that we have given, all the input variables, all its data is reshaped into the range -1 to 1, as we can see over here. Then from sklearn.model selection, we import train test split, and this is the value that we have given over here. For train test size equals to 0.3, it simply means that around 30% of the data here we have used for testing, and random state equals to 0 means that it ensures the splits that we generate are reproducible. We'll print all these values and we'll give class names equals to won't take loan and take loan. These are simply the labels that we'll use further. Now logistic regression. Logistic regression is a statistical analysis method which is used to predict a data value based on prior observations of data set. A logistic regression model predicts a dependent data variable by analyzing the relationship between one or more existing independent variables. So for that, we'll import the logistic regression from sklearn.learn model, and we'll give model equals to logistic regression. In y, uh, here basically we'll fit the data set into the model, and this is the output that we've got. For maximum iteration equals to 100, we can change these attribute values as many times as we want. Similarly, we'll give y_predict equals to model.predict x test, and we'll print the y_predict value. This is the array of output that we've got. Uh, yeah. For the further prediction, we'll import metrics, confusion matrix, plot confusion matrix, precision score, and recall score respectively. For plotting of logistic regression results, for getting the training accuracy, first of all we'll give the X-train and Y-train data frame to train score using model.score. Similarly, we'll do for testing the accuracy, we'll give it to test score, and for predicting the values, that is for predicting the precision, we'll give Y-test, Y-predict, and label, that is the class names that we've seen earlier. We'll give it to precision logic. Similarly, for the recall value, we'll give y_test and y_predict to recall logic using recall score. Now this is the output that we've got. Logistic regression results. The training accuracy we got is 0.94. Testing accuracy is 0.95. Precision is 0.78 and recall is 0.57, which according to me is pretty decent. Then we'll plot the confusion matrix for the same. Here we've given the labels that are the class name we've seen earlier, that is won't take loan and take loan. This is the true label, and this is the predicted label. Now for confusion matrix, these rows over here depict the predicted value while the columns over here depict the actual value. So from the result that we've got, we can see that this value over here represents won't take loan. That is, this is the value that a model predicted accurately. That is, this many people won't take loan, and similarly for the number of people who will take the loan, this is the value that a model predicted accurately. That is 73%. Now we have random forest. Random forest is a robust machine learning algorithm that can be used for a variety of tasks, including regression and classification. It is an assemble method, meaning that random forest model is made up of large number of small decision trees called estimators, which each produce their own predictions. Now, without getting into the details of it, I'll just show the results that we've got from random forest as well as for KNN. Now, KNN is K nearest neighbors algorithm. It is simple supervised machine learning algorithm that can be used to solve both classification and regression problems. It's easy to implement and understand, but has got major drawbacks of becoming significantly slow as size of the data in use grows. From using all the above three algorithms, we've got the results as the following. For logistic regression, we have training accuracy 0.94, testing 0.95, precision 0.79, recall 0.54. For random forest, we have training 0.98, testing 0.97, precision as 0.96, and recall as 0.68. And for KNN classifier, we have results as training 0.92, testing 0.92, precision 0.52, and recall 0.23. So for concluding, RFC model performs better, and it is evident from the above results. The training accuracy and the testing accuracy we got only differs by 2-3, which is good, and it has the highest precision, so our chances that a person takes the personal loan also increases. And to conclude, I have applied what I have learned till now. I've imported libraries and data sets, use the logistic regression model to predict the likelihood of a liability customer buying personal loan, printed all the metrics related for evaluating the model performance, also built other classification algorithms like random forest, KNN, and compared the performances. In addition to this, we can apply techniques like Bayes theorem, SVM, and then compare the results to see if the model improves further. That's it. Thank you.